Hey, Rockers. I am very happy to bring to you today a returning guest to Radio Bypass, the wonderful David Ellefson. How you doing, David?
Ralph, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. Good to talk with you again.
Likewise.
And I am
likewise.
loving what we're here to talk about mainly is this. Let me see here. There we go. This fine piece of work. Ellefson, Soto, Jeff Scott Soto, and yourself, along with Paolo and Andy in playing on this record as well. It's been out for just a couple of weeks now, right?
Yeah, like just less than a month actually. Yeah.
The European release is still coming.
Yeah. And, look, obviously that is for digital product in the stores and I guess some of the online outlets and stuff. But yet, as far as I know, a lot of people overseas have been buying it already. So, and as we did some shows, like Jeff Scott Soto said, we did 3 shows over in Italy back in September, just because our schedule allowed for it there. And like Jeff says, he goes, "Hey, if you listen to it, now just please go buy a copy later." And a lot of work went into it. A lot of people are supporting it. So so again, I do it. I mean, when one of my records comes out, I immediately go to iTunes and I buy a copy. And when my friends' records come out, I immediately go buy a copy. I bought The Cult, I bought Queensryche, I buy records from my friends. When their records come out, I support the cause,
Right. Yeah, I do the same. I do the digital iTunes also. I'm a user, and then I still like to get the physical whenever it's possible too.
So well, and it's funny. I get the vinyl right when I've had this just sitting here because it's kind of like my fan bundle that Rat Pack sent me. I have one too, So
did you get David Ellefson's autograph on that?
I got my autograph on one of them. I did. There is something in there like a record flat or something, and I fortunately signed my name pretty good on that one. So I have one sitting up here on my shelf as well. I don't tell Rat Pack, but I kept one just in case I didn't get one. I was like, I got to keep one of these. So
yeah, you deserve it. You deserve it. Yeah, but Rat Pack really did a nice job. The packaging, I didn't see the vinyl. I don't have that yet, but the packaging is very nice.
It's incredible. In fact, this one here was the, he did the whole package of all the stuff. And then I think this one is the splatter vinyl, right?
Nice.
Which is super fucking baller, man. Super cool. So
that is super cool.
Yep. So they did a great job, and that was, it's funny, Joe from Rat Pack and I have been buddies for quite a few years. And it was actually Andy Martingelli, our guitar player, who, we had the record done, wrapping it up, and he goes, "Dude, hit Rat Pack, man. Hit Joe at Rat Pack." He had just worked on something maybe with Michelangelo or something. I was like, God, that's a good idea. He'd probably be the perfect fit for putting this record out, and he did. He did all the old school stuff with like a pick and a patch and the vinyl and the cassette, and it's as you would expect a metal record to be.
Right. Take us back to our youth when this is what the kind of stuff you looked for, right? So that's pretty cool.
Well, I'd heard a trend just this last week that this vinyl uptick, right? This is the vinyl thing is in full swing now, as we know. But a lot of people will buy vinyl and not even open it. And honestly, I wouldn't have done it either, except I wanted to see what my album looked like. So I opened it. But the truth of it is a lot of people, they just don't even open it. And that would be probably me in most cases. I have some vinyl here that I've gotten from people and I don't open it, but then I'll go to iTunes and buy it because that's where I listen to music. When I'm flying in airplanes, I'll have it on iTunes or whatever. And that's kind of where I do my music listening, or I'll be in the car or something. Right. And cars don't have CD players anymore. So most of my CDs, they're just sitting there lonely on the shelf. I don't even play them anymore. We know how it goes, right?
Yep. I'm with you. Yeah, the albums in the days when that was the only option, vinyl, I would do that sometimes. Whatever my very favorite records were in a given year, I'd end up buying 2 copies, and one I'd keep sealed and one was for playing. So I always had a backup if I scratched the hell out of it, which I sometimes did. So
yeah. And remember the true test. I remember going over I just seen Kiss. I was really young, like 13, right? I just seen Kiss and Uriah Heep open for him. And a neighbor who was kind of like a long hair hippie guy. He was like working, I think, for my friend on my friend's farm. And he gave me the full education on Uriah Heep and all the stuff. And this is back in the day, of course, with the big tower speakers and your Marantz
Of course.
turntable. And when you had the really bitchin' stereo, the bass of the speakers would skip the needle across the record, right? Because there was so much low end in the house. That was like the goal, man, of my speakers are so rad that it skips the needle on the vinyl. But, reminiscing as we do.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's talk more about this fantastic record. So, couple of things I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget to touch on. So I made myself a couple of notes because I've listened to this a few times, absorbed the record. And of course, as I often do, I have early favorites, but then I add new favorites and, and usually end up loving the whole thing, which is the case with all of these tracks on here. But a couple of things that I wanted to touch on is, we know who you are. We know who Jeff is. A little bit about Paolo and Andy too, because you've worked with them on some of your other material. But on The Day Before Tomorrow, there's a gal named Giada singing a verse.
Yes.
Tell us about her. I wasn't familiar with her.
Yeah, a wonderful singer. She and her husband have a great power metal group out of northern Italy called Frozen Crown. And I had known their previous guitar player just briefly. She actually helped out at some VIP meet and greets in Europe. And that was kind of how Kiko actually said, oh, yeah, she's got a band. And then I checked her band. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And that's how I came to know Giada's voice. Super great singer. And so I hit them up and just said, hey, would you want to, give me a vocal on this track that I'm working on this album with Jeff Scott Soto? And, in the power metal world, especially in Europe, I mean, Jeff is the king,
Sure.
Especially from, I Am the Viking with the Yngwie. I mean, that's just forever. That's like his inner Sandman, you know what I mean? It's like forever he's the god, So she's like, oh my God, that would be great. I'd love to work with you guys. So it was great. And so she had a nice tone to her voice that I think worked really well with it. And, that's a song that's, orchestration wise, it really got pretty elaborate, between the strings and some, some piano work and, some violin stuff. And it got pretty complex in a cool way, that it was elaborate because there's a lot of space in it, and it started, I guess, probably with me playing the intro, the bass arpeggio thing on the intro. And then it just kind of turned into these nice chord changes, which opened up really nice for Jeff to lay the vocal out on top of it. So it was nice. I'm glad to be able to do a duet on it. The lyric called for it because it's a male female kind of call and answer thing,
right?
Between like two lovers, husband and wife, in this case, husband and wife Vikings. In this case, he's died, gone off to Valhalla. She's left behind, longing for the day to meet again, if not for the day before tomorrow, So
right.
That's the story of it. So I thought, she did a great job, and it was nice to have the collaboration.
Yeah, it really worked well with that song. I thought that's why I had to know a little bit more about her, because I thought that was a really cool part of that song.
Check their band out, Frozen Crown. They're great. They're really cool. The musicianship's great. Giada's lovely and sings great, and it's nice because they duet because her husband writes, I think, most of the lyrics and music and everything. So they do the duets as well, which is what hit me. Is like, okay, she knows how to do this. She's not just the female lead singer. The duetting thing they do a lot of in Frozen Crown. So that's kind of what sparked the idea to have it be that duet like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and the violinist too, Ellefson, I thought was really good on this track as well.
Yeah, really good. And she's on that, and also on Rise to Win, which is kind of my bass shred moment, on the intro of it. But she got some good stuff on there, and she's got her band Metal Mariachi out of LA, which is very cool. She's great. In fact, I actually hired her to be in the Lucid video that we did when we did the track. Let's see, which one was it? Mask or Not. She's in that. So if you want, that's her without the Metal Mariachi stuff, because that's kind of how they do all their whole get up and everything. But yeah, she's great. Total pro. Got a great sound and, knows how to, integrate that style of violin playing. Acoustic instruments in the big electric rock settings it's difficult. it doesn't always work, so to be obviously with recordings, it works well. So, but she's a pro. She knows what she's doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love that. And then on Hercules, I also happen to love that fretless bass. And I was wondering if that was something you heard in your head as you were writing the music, that you said, oh man, this has to be fretless.
It's interesting with that because Andy had encouraged, it's so funny. Andy drove so much of this, it was his idea. He's the one who really encouraged me to get Jeff to sing on the record because, kind of back to the origin of it in early 2021, we were essentially writing what would become what we thought probably the next Ellefson solo record. And I just had Jeff sing on the track, loved his voice on the song Writing on the Wall, which is on the digital streaming, excuse me, where all the tracks are. Right. And Andy just said, he goes, dude, let's just keep sending him tracks. Like, he's great. He sounds great with what we're doing. So, that led to, a collaboration, obviously not Ellefson featuring Just Got Soto, but let's just call it Ellefson Soto, because we're both names in our respective, genres, if you will. And in a way brought Jeff back into more of a metal setting that he admittedly hasn't been that much involved in. It's kind of more rock and prog stuff, so to bring him back and kind of center him back in that, well, it's me, we kind of got to know him from Ingve and all this, this great power metal stuff. So I felt good about that. But yeah, then Andy suggested Rat Pack, and then he said, he goes, dude, you need to shred on this album. You got to throw some chops down. So I said, I've got some stuff because I was actually just recording these little segments, these little bits. So I had the fretless thing. I had the little two-handed thing I was doing. Right. And then some kind of single string noted that, some of that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Get off the leash, man. Like, throw down, like play some lead bass. So yeah, it was fun to do it. And it was kind of cool because we made all those different parts work, because there's kind of three different sounds.
There is
the bass parts, so it kind of sounds like there's three different bass players trading licks. It sounds like Billy Sheehan, Victor Wooten, and David Ellefson or something. If we all got in a room, that's probably what it would sound like.
Right. Yeah, I love the sound of it. And I was like, I think I hear fretless here, and I hadn't had this yet to verify it. And then I saw it and I'm like, man, that's really cool. And I was just wondering how that came to be, because fretless for my bass player friends, kind of comes and goes. And a lot of times it's like they've got a riff of some sort, and then they decide, oh, I think fretless might sound cool. So I was just curious how that came to be.
Yeah, and fretless is a difficult instrument, kind of like acoustic stuff we were talking about. It has its place, especially in big rock settings. You don't really hear the dynamic of it. Like, I love Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam, one of my favorite bass players, just between his 12 string and fretless stuff that he does is very cool. Right. Tony Franklin from The Firm and a gazillion other things that he does, great. Really knows how to just get the bass to speak, because you can play a fretless differently. You don't have to just play it like you would an electric fretted, digging into those notes to get that growl. It's that growl that's cool, and being able to play octaves and slide things around. Right. It kind of, again, it takes you off the leash, so you can really be very expressive with it. But if you're doing it with a big wall of guitars and everything, it's hard to hear it. It doesn't really have the effect, the intended effect, in my opinion. So that's why I put it at the beginning, and then in a break of Rise to Win, where you can really hear it, where there's not a bunch of other stuff going on. Yeah. So that it really speaks, and you can hear what it is. It's a fretless bass.
Right. Well, awesome. So yeah, I love that. And then something a little maybe different than people might think of from you is Out of the Blue. What a sweet little piano ballad that is. Yeah. And I was curious about that. Did you write that on the piano, or?
I did. I wrote it on the piano. I just sat down and was kind of in a piano mode. I was writing a few things, and it was just fun to sit at a different instrument and just place my hands anywhere on the keyboard and see what first chord I hit, and then the second chord, and like, that's something. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then from there, I kind of started singing melodies, and then I started filling in some lyrics. It's funny. I I'll admit this. I actually took the lyric concept from that song Pina Colada.
Really?
Do you like pina colada?
I did not make the connection, man.
Yeah, well, and the storyline and the melody isn't it at all like that, but kind of the concept of it, of these two, man and woman, husband, wife, whatever, like, they're kind of off looking for something different. Remember the storyline? They write this, they put it out the paper, they write this thing, and then they end up backing. And at the end of the story, they end up meeting each other, realizing, oh my God, I didn't know you like pina colada. I didn't know you like pina colada. So it's this thing where basically what they were both looking for was the exact thing their partner already had, and it took them kind of going on this journey to come all the way back home to find it. So that was the whole story is that, basically, that's the lyrical theme of it.
Man, I'm impressed. I haven't thought of Rupert Holmes and that song, and I don't even know.
Listen to a little yacht rock on Sirius XM, and all that stuff comes back. Those were great songs because I grew up on that. Jay Ferguson, like Thunder Island, all this great stuff. Yeah. What's impressive is of course the song has to be great, because you got 3 minutes to really hit it and tell the story, and you realize how great those songs were. But there was no Pro Tools, there was no flying shit in. These guys had to play that good, and that's when I got in the business, was cutting analog, and you really had to play. You really had to play that good,
right?
And so when I go back and I hear it, and of course these records came out when I was a kid, so I'm just going, man, these guys could play their asses off and sing great. So, when I just sit at the piano, it's just me a cappella singing. I was like, I got to be that good, and I gotta do it. And of course, Jeff, as a real vocalist, takes it to a whole other level, but it was cool to kind of sketch out the lyric, sketch out the vocal melodies for him. And he fucking sang everything that I was coming up with. And of course, really had the emotion, and just goes to show how great Jeff is. The guy can sing, Rise to Win, and then turn right around and sing Out of the Blue, so the guy can do anything,
Yeah, that he can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that song, and I was like, wow, this is not probably something most David Ellefson fans would have expected, and that's what makes me love it even more. I like it when people spread out and do things that you might not think of them for.
I appreciate that. Writing on the Wall was one of those too. I sat literally in this room one day on a Sunday afternoon, and I just wrote the bass part, went over to my buddy's house to demo it up real quick. And basically that track is a development of the demo. It's the demo. And then I added when I got that 10-string bass that Jackson Guitars made for me, I added that on there to just widen it out. I think it was my 76 P bass, and then I added the Jackson 10-string on there. You're
talking about writing on the wall now.
Writing on the wall, yeah. And the song had been sitting there for a while, but it was something very different. It was just this sort of kind of this ominous warning was what the lyric was. I see the writing on the wall, and and so it just, I had the tune written and even recorded properly, and then that was the first one I sent to Jeff. I said, hey dude, can you flip you a couple of bucks just to throw a vocal on it, because and that was basically the first song that started this whole thing. And Jeff sings professionally. He sings on people's records and does stuff all the time. So I didn't want to take advantage of his time. He's a professional. That's why I threw him a couple of bucks to do it. But then after that, once we started, I think the next thing we sent him was, I'm looking at the record, I think we sent him like Sharpen the Sword, and a couple of heavier hitting things, and he loved it. And that's when he said, he goes, look, dude, you don't have to pay me. Like, we don't, let's do this together as a team. And it seems like we're creating a sound, and it's coming together nicely. And I said, that's cool. I said, I'll be easier on my pocketbook. and honestly, I'd rather create something with you anyway. I'd rather it be our sound, our record. I don't really want to just hire a bunch of sidemen to do it. I'd rather we do it, one for all for one.
Right.
And, then we get all the credit, and spoils of war are ours. And it's, I'd rather do it. Like, to me, that's what this is always about. It's the teamwork of it.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, and while you're on writing on the wall, that was one of the notes that I made for myself too, about the 10-string bass, which you mentioned, and then even the lyrics. Listening to them now, I know this isn't now what this is about, but listening to it, I was even thinking, boy, this could even describe your relationship with Dave Mustaine. the way some of those lyrics go, it made me think of that, your relationship there.
Well, you never know what might inspire a song. So.
Right.
We'll leave it over to interpretation of the listener.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beautiful thing about
it's
lyrics.
Ironic how it all fell, isn't it? That I wrote the song several years ago, couldn't find a home for it. Shit blows up, record comes out, and it's like, well, there it is,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, think
poetic
about
justice.
Think about those words, though. I don't think I'm wrong that it could be that,
Hey.
And then another tune that I love on this freaking record is especially the opening, the way it starts, is Celebrity Trash.
Oh yeah,
that is so cool. I love that opening piece, and then the lyrics, of course, I get a kick out of too. But
sure,
but the way that song starts out, did you already have it that way when this came to you?
Or? It's funny. I remember writing the lyric, and it was just about social media whores. Just the incessant thing of like how someone can present themselves as one thing, and then it just turns out to be something completely, fake identities, basically. It's like, this isn't really how I look or who I am at all. It's just sort of, made up images, right?
Right.
And so I remember when I wrote it, I was on tour in Europe, and I remember flying to like Luxembourg or something, as best I remember, writing it. I was trying to get it written before I had to turn my phone off before we landed, right? And it just kind of one of those that fell out pretty quick. And so when we wrote the music for it, I think I kind of came up with the initial riffs, and then Andy and I fleshed it out and sent it to Jeff once we started writing together, and he loved it. And then he took the story and really fleshed the lyric out and got the storyline really cooking with it. But yeah, it's one of his favorites, that and Lone Star.
Lone Star's cool too.
Yeah, right. Those are two that he always brings up.
Yeah, I like the way that one moves too, but that opening, just that first, minutes or maybe 30 seconds. I didn't actually look at the timer, but just the way it starts before it hits the vocals, I was like, man, this is really cool the way this moves.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of good key changes from song to song. Everything isn't in E or A, like that.
Right.
That's in B. And I forget off the top of my head which all of them are, but there's a lot of variety. So when the song sequence, it's not like you're just listening to the same song in the same key throughout. Like, that there's a lot of variety, and I love that. There's variety in Vacation in the Underworld obviously hits pretty hard. Like a Bullet has a bit more just kind of rock thing about it. Sharpen the Sword's pretty freaking metal again, so it kind of goes back and forth between that, and it isn't just this constant bulldozer hit to the head all the time. That there's tempo changes, there's sensibility changes, and there's key changes, and all the to me the musical things that make it a listening journey rather than just a collection of a bunch of singles or something.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I like it for that very reason as well. You got the real pounding, almost speed metal drums in some cases, and then, very mellow in others. And the song order, I think the way you guys sequenced them is a good order.
Thank you.
In my opinion, I like that a lot. And then speaking of Vacation in the Underworld, which starts it out, that's the first track, how did you come to decide to make that the album title?
It just was Steve Conley, who was in F5 with me back in the 2000s and now plays guitar in Flotsam and Jetsam, and has done a great job of writing some great Flotsam tracks in recent years. Some of their more recent albums, he's done a lot of writing, and he had, this was during COVID, so this is probably, I guess it was 2021. I was sitting around bored. He had a song. He asked me to play bass on it. And his original idea was, hey, I might just throw it up on YouTube just to kind of keep my name out there. And I got it. I was like, dude. And Ken Mary's playing drums on that one track because they had composed, or Steve composed it. Ken played drums on it. And I said, man, this is too good to just throw away as a COVID YouTube track, man. Right. And I told him, I said, I'm working with Jeff Scott Soto on some stuff. I said, can I have him put a vocal down. He goes, sure, we love Jeff, why not, so and that's where it started. Then Jeff and I collaborated on the lyric and the melody and everything, and I mean, first of all, I love the title. It was super cool.
I do too.
And to me, it was just like, come on, this is it right here. It's like, and I was kind of thinking, our album artwork, is it like going to Las Vegas? Are you down in the underworld with fucking hell and Satan and, fucking chicks and booze and money? Kind of what is that? So we toyed around with it for a little bit. We kind of let the lyric tell the story more so than having to be so graphic about it. Because I love the artwork, the graphic of I think speaks more to the album, not just one song, So, that song to me just was like so obvious. It's like, God, this is such a great opener. The title track, lyric, I mean, just everything about it says this is the needle drop. When people, Ellefson Soto, I wonder what this is about. Bang, there it is. Ask no more questions. You know what I mean? Just fucking deliver it straight up the middle, So there it is. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I like it. Yeah, you talk about this graphic here too, right?
Yeah.
What you're speaking of, if you can see that. Yeah. I thought it looks really cool. I like the coloring too. Whatever.
I agree. It's not it's funny.
It
I'm kind of almost color coded. Not, I didn't mean to be, but
you are. Yes.
Ron John shirt. It's kind of the irony, but I do like it. It has something, not sort of your typical just red and black and kind of typical metal stuff, because it's not just a metal record. If I had to determine it, it'd probably be kind of power metal in nature, but it has a lot of other stuff to it. So we didn't want it to just look only like a full on, Hessian metalhead kind of record.
Which it's definitely not that. Yeah. And it's got kind of a European sound to it too.
For sure.
The European hard rock metal bands sound like. It's got that kind of, there's some about it. I don't know I can't put my finger on it, but
no, I agree.
A little bit of a European sound to it.
I'll tell you, Ralph, that working with these people overseas, I enjoy it, and probably my first experience is working with Max Cavalera, him being from Brazil, and he lives here in town, not far from me. And when I worked on a couple Soulfly records, to just really, you enter his world, and it's all of that culturally, lyrically, everything about it. So that was kind of my first experience, and I really dug it. And then to work with with Andy, being Italian. I mean, look, when we go over there and work, Andy will pick me, or in this case, me and Jeff, up at the hotel at like noon, right? And usually in America, it's like, okay, we pick up, we get noon, we work hard, we work 8 or 10 hours a day, we grind through it. Right. Our typical work ethic in America, right? Over there, they're like, let's go get something to eat. All right. So we go get pizza, pasta, whatever, and then now it's like 2:00. They're like, all right, we should probably get going. Yeah, first let's get a coffee, and now it's 3:00. You're going, all right, kind of, and it's like, should we get to the studio? Yes, but first we go past this pastry shop, we get some pastries, right? So next thing you know, it's 4:30, 5:00. We haven't played a note, and we finally get in the studio, and we're all fat, dumb, and happy from eating all this killer Italian food, Right. And it's funny how the music flows. Everybody's in a great mood because everybody's relaxed. Nobody's uptight. Right. And it's just, it's the old thing about, they work to live. They don't live to work, right. Which, was how
we're definitely the opposite.
We're trained like that here in America with capitalism, right. And be all you can be. And over there, like, relax, have a coffee, take it easy, and right. It's funny how easy and how fun it is. And it kind of gets you back to the spirit of, oh yeah, that's right. Playing music, being in a band, not having to answer to the rules of society, the rules of, we're not adulting here, we're just
right.
dudes in a band just throwing down. And it, there's just a lot of fun to it, so I credit the Italians for, just getting us to chill out and how productive we are. It's funny how much we get done, when we're, right. when we're just kind of relaxing and enjoying the process.
So you were able to record together then? We're all
Well,
in separate
unfortunately,
rooms.
the recording we had to do because it was COVID era, so we had no choice.
Okay, that's
but
what I
fortunately, yeah, all of us have home studio stuff. I've got another studio here in town. I like to go to record bass because honestly, I like to plug into real mic preamps and really, you know, plug into an SSL and hear it through the big speakers. You know,
Right.
I mean, bass. Well, you can use headphones or whatever. You know, I'm sorry, bass just does not sound the same on computer speakers. You know, you need to fucking put it up top. Let's put it upstairs. Let's get this place rumbling.
Right.
And you know, so to me, I always record at my friend John Acolino's place. He's got an SSL room and now a Focusrite room, and I mean, you can hear everything in there, and that's what I want. That's how I've gotten used to cutting records over the years. And Andy's got an incredible home studio set up there, and we often use his friend Alessio up in London. He's got a great studio up in Wembley, so me and Andy write up there a lot. So yeah, just this year though, since things have opened up, Andy and I have been doing more writing for more stuff. And then when we did our little tour back in September with on this record, you know, that's when the pasta and pastry brigade broke out.
Nice.
But
Nice.
but yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's really cool, you know. So it's nice to be relaxed making music, especially when you're making heavy music and rocking and, you know, and all that it is. It's fun to just have that tempo, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The mindset, the vibe is so important. I think, you know, it definitely shapes the music. Yeah.
It's everything. Yeah.
All right. So before we stop talking about this fine record, anything else that you would like to say about that's going to probably reflect. So anything else you would like to say about this fine album?
You know, we pretty much covered it. It's been killing me sitting on it because I feel really strongly about it, and I'm a fan of it myself. When I put it on, I love listening to it, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it was fun to play live when we got a chance to play a few songs, and hopefully here in the new year we'll have some more opportunities to go out and do some more shows and performances.
Any chance of doing anything together here in the US?
Well, certainly not until next year, because now Jeff is off in Trans-Siberian Orchestra World, and and knowing that, that's why I asked if we could try to just get together in September when Jeff happened to be over on that side of the world, and that's why we did those dates in Italy during that time.
Gotcha.
So, but probably in the new year here, we'll hopefully have some opportunities to fire this off.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'd love to see this live. And speaking of touring, you did some, I think it was in October. You did Kings of Thrash some dates, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Any more of that coming down the pipe?
Oh yeah. You know, that was a thing where, of course, everybody knew our names, me, Jeff Young, Chris Poland. You know, we advertised we were going to play the Killing Is My Business and So Far So Good Slow records. And as it turns out, we ended up playing like half a piece else too. So it's like, that's probably the most freaking muscular set list I've played since probably Rude Awakening, when we filmed that in 2001 and I was 20 years younger, you know. So we were going out there, we turned up the gas, man. I mean, there was no screwing around on that one.
And you played those albums in their entirety, right?
We did. Yep. Yeah. We did. Yeah. Top to bottom. And it was great. I mean, it's super cool, super fun. Maybe just realize how cool those songs are, how the detail and intricacies, you know, it was a very different era too. The songs were written under much different pretenses. There was a real innovation and sort of, I guess that's the word, innovation. There's a real innovation in those records, you know, the stuff of the 80s back then that we were doing. So, and look, we just picked 4 cities. We said, let's just go out and fire this off, kind of a proof of concept, show everybody what we got. I think the first night when we played in San Diego, the fans right away got it. Went, oh my God, like this, holy shit. Like, like we've been asking for this and wanting this for years. And oh my God, there they really are. Those are really the guys to play those records. And like, this is it, you know? So, and our drummer, Fred, and our singer, Chaz, I mean, they've got it, you know, in their heart as younger guys. So they get it and we're excited to be there with us doing it. So yeah, it really was just a moment in time for that to fire off like that so well. And yeah, now as a result, look, we've got live recordings. We've got, you know, more stuff coming up here in the new year for that. So yeah, that was just the beginning. That was just us, you know, that was just the first firework we blew off. There's definitely going to be more after this.
Nice. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I was going to try to make the date down at the whiskey, but I couldn't do it. But
yeah,
I thought that would have been really cool to see. So that's why I was hoping that that's what you were going to say, that you're going to do some more of this. Yeah. And then lastly, before we part, how about the Lucid? I really liked that record a lot when it came out. Any more stuff with that going on?
We do. I think in a couple of weeks, some new stuff coming out, and it's again some stuff we've had in the can that we had some dates originally back in May. Our guitar player had a health issue, Drew, but he got through that. He's good. So we just kind of held it back, knowing I had the Ellefson Soda record. We were doing Kings of Thrash. So I said, let's just kind of clear the runway a little bit, and so I think November will be the time we'll drop a couple of new things, fire some new stuff off there.
Nice. All right, good. I'm looking forward to that. And actually, while we were on the Kings of Thrash, I should have mentioned this in just a couple of weeks, right? Today's November 1st as we record this. So yeah, a couple of weeks, you're going to be at the Days of the Dead convention in Chicago, or I think it's in Rosemont, maybe. And is the band playing at that too? One of the nights?
It's not Kings of Thrash. So the promoter Bill had reached out to me about this a couple months back, a few months back actually this summer, right as we were getting the whole Kings of Thrash thing on the books and ready to launch and announce. And he hit me and he asked, he goes, look, I'm doing a lot more music stuff at my conventions, and would you and Jeff and Chris come out? And so I said, yeah. So he's got a Metallica tribute band, Hardwired, is playing. He said, look, these guys can be your drummer and singer. I said, yeah, look, as long as they know the songs, no problem. We know what we're doing. So it should be fun. It's you got to have a ticket to get into Days of the Dead to come to see the event. Saturday nights, it'd be November 19th, I believe.
I think so.
Is that right? The 19th, I
think so. Yeah. Triple check here while we're talking about, but I'm pretty sure.
So that's what it is. Yeah. So Chris and Jeff and I will be at the show with all the other celebrities, signing autographs. So come on over and see us and
19
pictures, get some autographs. Yeah. And then the 19th that night is the concert. And we'll be jumping up and jamming a few of our tunes. So, and again, these are the old school, the old stuff from back in the day. So,
and do you know, I couldn't find information. I looked at their website to try to find out exactly where this is at. Is it at the Crown Plaza Hotel? Do you know?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. It's at the Crown Plaza. Yeah.
All right. So Chicago friends, Crown Plaza, Rosemont, River Road. That's where this is taking place. I just want to make sure I can steer people to the right place. Yeah, I think that'd be very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So as always, another busy year coming up for David Ellefson. You just keep cranking it out. So you got a lot of things.
I don't know what else to do, so I keep doing this. That's how it is, right?
Well,
so it's
as a fan, I'm glad you do.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. No, look, it's this is my place in life, and this is what I do. So yeah, awesome. Thanks for the support, man. I appreciate it, Ralph.
Yeah, of course, David. Well, thanks for coming back to Radio Bypass and filling us in. And everybody, if you haven't, I know I've been playing tracks off of this on the music show every week, but if you haven't picked up a copy of this yourself yet, please get it because you will love it. And Rat Pat Records, as I was saying, I think they're still available. They have some different packages, different ways you can get this, including maybe some David Ellefson guitar picks, I think is in one of the packages.
I think there are some in there. Yes.
So you can check out ratpackrecords.com, I believe. And Ellefson Soto has social media pages under Ellefson Soto. And of course, if you just search David Ellefson, you'll see like a million things that he's involved with. So thanks a lot, David, and good luck, and have a great rest of the year.
Thank you, my friend. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Bye.